Hi, today we can discuss about a scenario in a REST API. Okay, let's consider you have a service and the service want to invoke multiple functions. Okay, so let's say I have a service and I want to invoke function F1, F2, F3, and these three are independent to each other. Okay, so what is the best way to implement it? Whether let's say the traditional way is like I call this function wait for output, I call this function, wait for output, I call this function, and wait for the output. So, let's say like this function is taking like 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. So, together I need to wait for like 15 minutes, just to invoke these three functions, and then I need to proceed with my business logic, right? So, there is a performance issue with this design. So, to overcome that, okay, Springboot provided as a asynchronous way of doing it. Okay. So what we can do, okay, we can call all these functions in parallel in the asynchronous mode. Okay. So instead of waiting for the output from function one, I can execute F1, F2, F3 in parallel. Okay. And then I can wait for the output from all these three at once. Once I get the output from all these three, then I can proceed with my business logic. What I mean here is like instead of waiting 5 minutes together altogether 15 minutes, okay, I'll be launching all these functions in parallel. Okay, so in average I may need to wait for like less than 15 minutes, like I would say like 5 to 7 minutes. So this way like we can improve the performance of our REST APIs. Okay, let's see in demo. I have a Spring application. Okay, so in my controller, okay, what I am planning to do is, okay, I need to call this, like I'm getting the list of persons and I'm passing the person ID, okay, to get the data from each person. Okay, so passing the person ID, I'm getting the entire data of the person. So as I said earlier, okay, instead of calling this and wait and then call this and wait, what I'm going to do, I'm going to launch this as a task in parallel. Okay, so my executor will take care of executing those tasks and get me the result. Once I get the result, I will go with the period. Okay, so for that, the first thing is, okay, so in my implementation, okay, first thing is I am going to enable the asynchronous mode. Okay, so when I enable the asynchronous mode, I need to tell what is the executor. Okay, so I need to design the executor. So when creating the executor, okay, there is a package. Okay, if you see here, there is a package in the Springboot which is a Deadpool task executor. So here in the configuration file, I'm going to initialize my executor, telling what is the pool size and capacity, everything here. Okay, so that logic will be used in my implementation. Okay, when I get under request, how to handle that control request by the executor is configured here. Okay, and wow, so this return slip, it's my intention to delay the response from this particular function. Okay, that's it, just for demo purpose. Okay, so what I'm returning from here is a completable feature of what, like if I am going to return a person, right? So it's a completable feature is what I'm going to return. Okay, that's all you need to do. You need to tell this function need to be executed in asynchronous mode using the executor whatever I configured here. Okay, and I will be getting all the data and returning that in the completable feature. Okay, so once I get a data, okay, so what I'm doing here, I'm calling that method, I'm calling the another method. Okay, I'm expecting these two happens in parallel rather than waiting for this to finish and then call this. Okay. Other than that, I'm expecting these two be called in parallel. Okay. And here what I'm doing, okay, I'm joining all this task, right? So here I will be waiting for both to finish, and once both are finished, I will be doing my BAU. Okay, so that is the expectation. Let's run this code. So I'm going to execute. I'm going to call this API. Okay. Um, so for that, the mapping is, because mapping is API slash my slash demo. Okay, and it is a get method. So if I call this endpoint, it should get, and if I call as a um, get method, it should call, it should invoke this particular method. Okay, so let's go and test that in a postman. Okay, so slash API slash my demo. Okay, and I'm going to send this request. Okay, and now I got a response. Okay, I got a response. So if you see here, let's say how um, it worked, right? Let's see how it worked. So I got all the present subject, and I'm printing this one. Okay, in the console. Okay, I call this function. Okay, and I'm printing this one. I call this function, and I'm printing this one. Okay, but okay, what is happening here? Okay, this is nothing but whatever I called inside this. So if you see here, okay, this function is called, and also this function is called before, before I'm getting the response from this function, right? Where if you see here, so this line I'm printing inside this method. Okay, so that is printing only after getting the response from, only after invoking this function. So that means, okay, we called both in parallel and we are getting the output object here. Like, so from the executor I'm getting the options value, and from options I'm getting the object, actual object. So hope you are clear. Okay, so this is one of the best approach to be used in the Spring REST APIs to call your functions in parallel if they are independent to each other. Okay, to improve the performance. Okay, so on top of this, we also need to implement the circuit breaker, because the purpose of circuit breaker is, okay, when this particular response fails. Okay, so it's a fail fast concept. Okay, when this particular response fails for some reason, okay, I need to respond back immediately to my client telling that I failed. Maybe I can respond back with an exception, or with some default value or default value from cache, something. But I have to respond back immediately. So for that, we can use the circuit breaker called as histories in Springboot to respond back in case of any exceptions. Okay, so that I can cover up in another session. But this session is about how to implement the asynchronous in Springboot. Thank you.